Hello, welcome back to my IELTS podcast. Today, we're going to continue from the introduction. Today is part one of academic IELTS writing task one. We focus on grammatical range and accuracy. All right, let's get started. So, section one or part one of grammatical range and accuracy, we're talking about tense control or English grammar tense control. Why do we have to talk about this? Why is it important? Well, because it is the foundation of task 1 grammar. And choosing the correct tense is the single most important grammar decision in academic IELTS writing task 1. The data determines your tense, not your preference. In other words, you do not choose the tense. You have to be flexible. Depends on the given data on your writing task 1. All right, so let's have a look at part 1 of the 10 control. We're talking about simple past 10 or past simple, past perfect, or perfect past, whatever you want to call it, to describe completed data. First of all, let's talk about simple past tense. As you know, we use simple past tense to talk about completed time, something that is already completed in the past. And the formula is subject plus simple past tense verb or verb to column. We use when the graph shows a finished time period with specific dates. For example, in 2010, between 1990 and 2020, or from 2005 to 2015. Let's have a look at the example. The number of students increased from 500 to 1,200 between 2005 and 2015. So if you have a look at the verb in gold, increased is the past tense of increased. So in this case, we use simple past tense. Okay, let's have a look at past perfect. We have different way to use past perfect, but in this case, we use past perfect to describe an action that happened before another past event. And the formula is subject followed by had, followed by past participle, or you call it verb 3 column. And we use it to show that one event happened before another event in the past. It's often used with by, before, or already to establish sequence. Let's have a look at the example. By 2010, the figure had already reached its peak of 45%. So if you look at the verb phrase in blue, had already reached, that is past perfect with already. So we have had, already, and past participle reached. All right, let's have a look at the common mistakes. And this is important so that you learn about these common mistakes and you can avoid this error or mistake. So do not use present perfect for a finished time period with a specific past date. What do we use? If it is finished with a specific past date, go back to use simple past tense or past simple. The time markers determines the tense. Now, for example, the number of students has increased in 2010. Again, you use present perfect, it is not the right tense. So, what tense again? Of course, we use simple past tense. So, the number of students increased in 2010. So, in 2010, that is the finish time, and it signals you to use a simple past tense or past simple, not present perfect. As you might already know, that present perfect requires a connection to the present. Something happened in the past and still continue to the present. That is present perfect. Right. Let's talk about present simple and future simple, talking about facts and projections. So, present simple, the formula is subject and followed by base form verb or verb one column. And of course, with the rules, verb that finish with SH, CH, X, and O, we add ES, right? With general facts or describing what a chart shows, timeless statements about the visual itself. For example, the chart shows the number of tourists visiting France. So in this case, it is a general facts. And again, we use present simple to describe what a chart shows, especially there is no specific time stated in the visual data. Right, let's have a look at future simple. Well, of course, future simple use auxiliary will. So we use future simple to forecast or project data. In other words, we make prediction based on the data or the graph trends extending into future years or date. For example, number is expected to rise to 8 millions by 2030. Right. Let's have a look at present perfect. The formula of present perfect is subject followed by this have and has and participle or verb 3 column. We use it to describe the trends that continuing until now. Well, of course, it happened somewhere in the past. We don't know, but we know for sure that it's continued until now. Or in other words, action studying in the past with present relevance, often with since. For example, the population has grown steadily since the year of 2000. So, has grown, that is, has followed by past participle, grown. So, it's present perfect used with sin followed by the year. We also use future with passive voice. It could be future simple passive voice. So we have this formula of phrases says it is predicted or projected that followed by subject and followed by will and base form verb or verb 1 column. And we use future simple passive voice with this phrase, it is predicted or projected that, for formal projections or forecasting. In other words, we use it to add academic tones and objectivity. Of course, it is ideal for task 1, forecast description, especially when you are dealing with data. For example, it is predicted that demand will exceed supply by 2025. So we have the phrase, it is predicted that, followed by subject, the man is a noun, so it's a subject, then auxiliary verb will, and then base form verb exceed. So here's a tip for you to take away. Let the data's time frame determine your tense. So again, I just want to repeat this. You do not choose the tense. The data will signal you what tense you will use. So never default to one tense for all responses. Alright, let's have a look at the tense timeline or Grammaton timeline visual guide. These have you match the tense to the data time frame from distant past events to future projection or forecasting. So this is a key reference for you. You can come back later. So we can look at the past perfect, and the main formula is had plus past participle verb 3 column. By 1990, the rate had fallen to 5%. And in this case, we use it to describe events before a past reference point. Then we have simple past tense or past simple using past simple verb or verb 2 column. For example, sales rose sharply in 2015. When you see the finish event, completed event with specific date and time, you use simple past tense to describe it, the data. So we use it for completed periods with dates. Then moving on to present perfect. The main formula is have or has, followed by past participle or verb 3 column. For example, enrollment has increased since 2010. So we use it to describe trends continuing up to now. Again, normally we use present perfect to talk or describe a event that happened somewhere in the past and still relevant or continue until now. That's the point. Then we have present simple. So the main formula of present simple is base form verb or verb 1, and the rule verb that finishes with s, sh, x, and o, we add es. For example, the table shows 3 categories. So if you look at the verb shows, we add s because we have singular subject table, right? So we use it to describe the chart itself as something that happened in the present. Then we have future simple. And the main formula of future simple is will, followed by base form verb or present simple verb 1 column. For example, the figure is expected to reach 70% by 2030. You can also use this. The figure will be or will be expected to reach 70% by 2030. So we use it to project the data, the upcoming year or the future years, forecasting the data, right? So again, the data determine your grammar tense. You do not have preference or you do not choose them. Always check the time references in the graph before starting your writing. Okay, so let's talk about the common pitfall of grammar tense or common tense mistakes in writing task 1. So on your left side, we have the incorrect versions of these four statements. And on your right hand, we have the correct version, the same in response to the incorrect version for statement. All right, let's have a look at them. 1. The number of people are increased in 2015. So in this case, the writer used the wrong tense and verb form. First of all, we do not use passive voice. You see, in 2015, that signaled you the past tense already, so it's supposed to be simple past or past simple. So the number of people increased in 2015. That is the correct version. A simple past or past simple for completed time period. Number 2, the chart is showing the population grows. So in this case, the writer used present continuous or present progressive, which is completely wrong for the chart description. So in order to make it right, we have to use present simple. So the chart shows the population grows. That is exactly what we wanted. So we use present simple for describing what the chart does. And it happened in the present time. 3. In 2020, the figure has risen to 40%. You see the problem there? That is present perfect. And present perfect cannot be used with a finished past time. So you know what tense we use? We use simple past again. We say, in 2020, the figure rose to 40%. So again, past simple for specific past year require verb to column or simple past verb. Last but not least, number 4, the amount of water have decreased. So in this case, the writer tried to use, the wrong verb form, have, where it's supposed to be has, because we use uncountable subject. So it is singular subject, amount, then we have to use singular verb has, not have. The correct version is the amount of water has decreased. So again, amount is singular subject, so we need singular verb, has, not have. So here's a tip. The data time frame determines the tense. Again, it's not your preference. You do not choose the grammar tense to write. You have to look at the visual data and the time frame. A specific past date always require past simple. All right, that should be it for today lecture, part 1 of academic IELTS writing task 1, focusing on grammatical range and accuracy. If you have any questions or concern regarding this lecture, please comment down below. Let me know. I'll try to answer your question as soon as I can. Thank you.